Let me take you up on that.
Well, they're coming back and get cold.
Busy already?
They're zooming back here.
That's good.
Busy?
One of my friends said,
I'm not doing something for myself, I'm doing something for
he
somebody
wasn't very
else.
sick.
So are we gonna go over the definition and stuff?
Are you gonna speak,
We already
Becky?
get to that. We have a bunch
No.
of things to talk about tonight, so.
You're not gonna speak?
And Nan sent the whole thing this afternoon, and will be on the screen, so.
Sorry, when you speak, can you put your mask down?
I will do that.
Because it is so muffled. It's so muffled. I mean, not asking you to expose yourself to some,
I'm actually trying to save, I just had COVID, so I can't get it again for like 2 weeks. But I don't want to, I'm just trying to be kind of it, so.
it's just very difficult to understand.
It would be kind if you could take it down when you speak, because she has trouble hearing.
I will do that when I
Thank
speak.
you.
Hearing aids. So you can't hear 100%.
Because I have a cold, so I'm just gonna mumble anyway.
My husband and I went and got tested, and the audiologist said, I don't think it's so much, you both have lost some hearing, but it may be more of a listening problem.
Yeah, so selective.
I can turn it up a bit, but
No,
it's still-
I personally think it's my husband's listening that you're talking about, but he may
Could be
have
called
both.
old age.
We each give each other a hearing test.
yeah, well, I've had them for a long time.
Okay,
Both of us, we're trying to get.
so we're looking for a couple of more people. Hi, Nan.
Oh, you've got people calling in, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Zoom, you could have done it at home on Zoom.
Yeah, but you know what?
No, I think there is
You can do it at home if you want to, but you don't get the feeling of how people feel when you're in.
Oh, I know, I
And there's
do a lot of
all
Zoom.
these
I don't get it at home.
Zoom meetings.
I can't get it at home.
Right, and a lot of people can't get it home because it's spotty.
Hi, Ernie. How you doing?
Good.
Yeah.
Mostly over this crud.
Yeah.
Either respiratory, but you.
I'm fine, yeah.
Did you do the Pavloxin thing?
I did, all the baby, it cleared everything up, but I felt like I was eating a tin can. You have that too? Yeah.
I never.
It, like, everything tasted like.
Yeah, that was it. I kept saying, I got this metallic taste.
Yeah,
Too many
I think it was
throat.
that, because my
And
husband
once in a while
had to
throw
take a
away.
different antiviral, because.
I take them off, and then when I go to look for them, I end up stepping on them all, looking for them.
Okay, well, it is 7:15, ladies and gentlemen, and we have a quorum between here and there.
Recording in progress.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I will now take privilege of the floor, so that starts with Sylvia Short, and then Peter Hoyt. And you have 3 minutes.
My name is Sylvia Short. I was born and bred in the town of Caroline. My mom and her siblings and grandfather, the Hotellings, are from here also. I have lived within a 3-mile radius my whole entire life, except for the first year of marriage. We lived in Newfield. It's a nice little town, but it's not home. Mark, I asked you why zoning now, and you said to look over the town of Caroline in the future. Caroline is 200 years old and has had no problems. We have had enough rules with New York State, and we have had our own in Caroline. We are very protected by the rules in place. As Jay Payton had said, we don't have municipal water and sewer, so no big businesses are gonna come out here. They don't wanna come out. If they did, they would have been here by now. I understand you wanting to watch for the future of our town, but give all the people in this town of Caroline a little more credit. We have done great, and we will continue to do so without zoning, because we truly love our town. As of 2020, Newfield population is 5,126 and is 200 years old. Enfield population is 3,362 and is 218 years old. Caroline population is 3,334 and is also 200 years old. Why can't we, the three, remain zoning free?
Thank you. Thank you for your thoughts and your ideas, and very well expressed. Thank you. Pete, where are you, Peter?
I'm here.
Oh, I didn't see you back there.
Where should I stand to best address everybody?
I guess in the typical, thank you.
Pardon me?
In the typical spot there over great.
And we'll turn the thing on. Yep.
Okay, hello out there in television land. I was here at the last zoning commission meeting, and I was struck near the end of the meeting that it appears that nobody on the commission really understands how farming works. You all discussed it quite a bit, but you guys just don't know. I mean, you don't have any farmers. And I know that you've asked the Ag Committee, which I'm a member of, to advise you, and that's good that you did that. I think it'd be even better if you had a farmer on the zoning commission as a voting member. I've stressed many times that would be a good idea, both to round out the commission. You've had 3 people leave already, and to have a farmer on there. If you're going to be discussing ag overlays, wouldn't it be nice to have somebody who knows what he or she is talking about? So I only urge you once again to consider that. And the Ag Committee will be very happy to meet with the commission and with the town board under any circumstances you guys want to invite us to. But coupled with that, if you had somebody on your own commission that understood this kind of stuff better, I think you'd all be well ahead of the game.
Thank you, Peter. Does anyone else wish to speak to privilege of the floor this evening?
I would like to say something, please.
May I have your name?
My name is Rebecca Phillips, and I would like to ask the question. Apparently, you can only ask the zoning commission questions. You can't do anything other than that, and they decide whether they want to answer them or not. My question is, can you prove that we've been derelict and abusive and negligent in our taking care of our town? I would like proof of that we have been so abusive that you have decided to take upon yourselves, and it seems to be a select few that's from a particular area that have developed this union against the major portion of the town of Caroline. I challenge you to prove to us what you think is negligent and how we have been so bad, so terrible, so negligent. Prove it.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips. I will say, I generally don't respond to these, but I will say that in what the town board asked the people that are on the zoning commission to do, nothing was ever said about negligence. But I will put that question to people, and we'll get you a written answer. If you would give me your email, and you could come up later and write that, or you could just write that down, that would be great, so I can make sure to get back to you. Do you have email or a phone number?
Oh, yes, I do.
Okay.
I've sent emails to you and got nothing. So,
I don't believe that you
I'm
have
sorry.
enough.
I'm
You may not
sorry.
have the answer, but don't
Your
tell me
ability
you don't
to deal with this is totally ridiculous.
Ms.
I
Phillips,
find this whole zoning commission biased. You have your own criteria, your own
Ms. Phillips,
desire. You have decided that you're going to condemn us because of your own ideology.
Ms.
I challenge you
Ms. Phillips,
to
you're
prove me wrong. I'm sorry. I got upset. I'm sorry. I got upset.
I put over a year of my time, and the other people on this commission have too, into doing this because the town board asked us. And I have lived in this town for 52 years, and I treasure living here. And I took on that responsibility, as did other members. I don't usually get this distraught about this, but I am really tired of being attacked. I am very tired of being attacked. I've been attacked personally. I got what I considered a death threat since the subject line read, "Your life is in danger," and we called the state police, who went and spoke to the perpetrator, who explained that what that person had done was a crime and could be arrested for doing what that person had done. I'm not ever gonna tell you who it was. If I had known who it was at the time and I knew the person personally, I would have dealt with it myself, but I did not know that person. And I am very tired of this. So don't attack me personally and don't attack us personally.
I didn't attack you personally. I did not attack you personally. Don't even accuse me. I can accuse you of attacking me.
You just.
I did not attack you personally.
Okay. I have been attacked personally.
Well, you know, you're attacking us personally.
I am not
Our
attacking you
businesses,
personally.
our home, our life, our livelihood.
Oh, God.
I'm done. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna stop.
I'll shut up.
Okay, Gene, you need some support here to gain order in that room there, and I'm hoping some of the folks in the audience would help do that as well, all right? We appreciate the comments that Ms. Phillips has made, but yes, she's well over her 3 minutes of time.
Thank you.
I put it in
I'm
front
really
of
sorry for losing my patience, but I have lost my patience. And maybe I'll find it again somewhere, I don't know. The minutes of the April 14th meeting have been sent out, but they were sent out too late to give anybody a rational time to read them, so we're not going to approve them tonight, we'll approve them at the next meeting. Tim Murray, our town council liaison, is not able to be with us this evening. Mark, is there anything that you would like to report on behalf of the town board?
No, I don't have a report.
Thank you, and I'm going to take my mask off because I was asked to take my mask off. And I can't get it myself. I'm sorry for anybody else in the room who was wishing I was wearing it. I can't get it because I just had it, so. The first draft of the zoning law, we have several things that have not been finished up. And I will go through those. And then we can go through this. If there's anything I have not mentioned, please let me know, those on the committee. Setbacks and road right-of-way, we began to talk about last week, or the last meeting, which was 12 days ago now. So we want to go over that. The water resources overlay, we also talked about at the last meeting, and we want to go over that now that we have some more information. Site plan review, and I have some, I wanted to let you know that I have talked to the chair of the review committee, Craig
Motion.
Motisher, I'm blanking on his last name. And they are trying to call a meeting together. I sent them stuff to look at, and I think they may have a meeting in next week or the week
The
after.
11th, May
11th? Okay, that's great to know. Thank you. The Ag Committee sent something that they wrote, and I want to find that, and then I will read that to you. So this came from Catherine Goldberg, the councilwoman. I want to make sure to pass along some thought-provoking information regarding agriculture and land use planning that we are discussing in the local ag committee. I'd be so grateful if you could familiarize yourself with this to assist in our ongoing engagement and dialogue regarding land use, farming, agriculture, and planning efforts. The attachment is a good starting point, and the 2 links here are also helpful. Some ideas which bear highlighting. The first is preserving the land base is at best only a partial solution because farmland cannot really be preserved unless it is being actively and profitably farmed. The second point is many communities approach the protection of farmland and farms through zoning measures that are intended to help preserve farmland. There are many variations of this, many well-intended, but most quite counterproductive. The third is, experience has shown that incentive-based mechanisms for farmland preservation, such as purchase of development rights, property tax reductions for active farming, and various forms of local subsidy for farmers are politically more palatable and more likely to engender cooperation from landowners. I wanted to say about those that purchase development rights, I'd like to ask Nan more about that. And property tax reductions are clearly something you can't do through zoning. That would be up to the town council, the town board to do for active farming. And various forms of local subsidy for farmers, I'm not quite sure what those all are. There are 2 links that I've sent out to the board, the committee, by a person named John Russell.
Joe.
Oh, excuse me, Joe Russell, you're right, I'm not reading that particularly well. And then there was an article that is from, it's called Practical, it's from the American Planning Association, Practicing Planner, from the winter of 2009, also by Joel Russell. How well has agriculture protection zoning worked? So you all have that, and from my point of view, I think we should read these. I don't think we should hold up the second draft of the Articles 1, 2, and 3 in order to make any changes at this point. If we read something in here that makes us want to change anything, we can do that because we've got time. So that's that. And then...
Jane, a quick note for me, Jane.
Yeah.
Sorry, so just, I'm by no means any expert on this, but just to clarify, the town board can't arbitrarily decide to assess a different level of top property tax for most groups. It's pretty rigid in that regard. But that is what the ag assessment is, of course. The state has set up a mechanism whereby agricultural properties with enough production get a property tax break. But there is a provision in state law whereby towns can essentially apply to become part of a club that can set up their own easements, which is the proposal that the planning board put into the comprehensive plan for that reason. And Tompkins County is one of the counties that is, I think, already on that list, and then we just have to get Caroline on the list. Anyway, so it's not so easy just to say, oh, we'll charge less property tax if you're a farm, but there are mechanisms whereby that might be able to be done.
Okay. Maybe I will make sure that Tim, I'm sure, will look at this, and maybe that would be something that the town board will want to think about too.
Did you post those on the website, the Joel Russell?
Sure, I can do that. Let me write that down. We also had an email from H.L. Robinson about mining. And I want to read that to you as well, because it's a question that I think we need to ask Nan about. Okay, so basically...
That'd be the gentleman who owns the gravel pit.
He owns Robinson Sand and Gravel. Yeah.
Is it Brookendale?
Robinson's not located here. I think they're leasing. I don't know if they've actually purchased University Sand and Gravel, but they're certainly operating it. They're the current operators of it, and they were an existing gravel company from down in Canterbury. I'm not exactly positive.
Yeah. Anyway, he basically says that, and I'm having a very hard time finding his letter, that mining should be a separate area. And Nan had said that perhaps we didn't need to do that. I want to ask Nan about why do you think that mining doesn't have to be a separate area, so that we can think about that some more.
Well, I think the question was, should there be a zoning district set up around the mine that allows for mining? And I think my answer was that I think the zoning commission definitely ought to look at mining, and there's two kinds of mines that we look at. One is the mines that are smaller that do not require a DEC mining permit, and which the town can regulate or not regulate in any way it wants to. Or the large mines that are over 750 cubic yards of material removed in any 12 consecutive months are regulated by, in quite detailed regulated by DEC through the mining permit process. And so I think it brings up a really good question for the zoning commission to consider. I think the small mines we haven't really talked about, and those are things like, small gravel mines that a farm may have on their property, or a shale pit, or maybe the town has a local place that it gets shale for roads or highway use, and that those are small areas that don't require DEC involvement. So the fact that the current draft use table does not discuss mining, I think the letter brought up a good point. I think you should consider how you want to deal with that, because then right now, without mining on the use table, that would be considered a use that's not allowed in the town. That's how a use table works.
Okay.
So part of my answer is, I think you ought to look at mines as the small versus large, because that's how it's regulated in New York State. And in terms of creating a zoning district and drawing a line around the mine, I think my question was, and I haven't thought about it a lot because it just came up today, but I would be concerned that when you create a zoning district for one use, there's a fine line there between meeting the goals of the comprehensive plan and spot zoning. And so we always are very careful about developing a zoning district for a single use on a single parcel or parcels that are owned by a single entity for that use. So I'm just cautious about that, and I would be cautious also is that it's a mine now and it might be a mine for 20 years or 30 years or who knows what, but someday it won't be a mine. Not that you can't change things later on, but I think that just calling it a mine and only allowing mining there might not be very long, that might not give you as an expansive view as you might need to do. You could develop an area, you could call it industrial, or mining and industrial, and list in the use table, a variety of uses that you might think would be appropriate for that area in the future. I just would be concerned, I just think that we have to really think about creating a specific district for a specific use. But there are other ways of handling it. You could include mining in the use table just as an allowed use under a special use permit with site plan review in the ag rural district. You could say that you're going to allow mining to continue as is, as long as it has a DEC mining permit. So basically you're handing over the authority, the regular authority to DEC. There are some things that the town can look at with the DEC mining permits, but it's limited. You could say that we're going to allow it to continue but not expand. So there's different ways of handling it, but I think it's good that this came up, and I think we haven't had this discussion yet. So I would turn it back to the zoning commission to kind of get your head wrapped around the small mines, and if you want to do anything, and if you don't want to regulate the small mines, then I think that at least you need to put it on the use table as a permitted use so that farmers and other people who have small shale pits can continue to use them. Or you may feel that those need some sort of site plan review. I don't know, you'll have to discuss that. So that's a more expansive answer from what I emailed this afternoon.
Does anyone, I see Bill's hand up.
Yeah, so, and thanks, Dan, for going, because you got to hit a couple of points that I was going to potentially bring up. But, and Gene, this from memory, my recollection that Mr. Robinson's main question, one was, right now mining is listed as under, industrial use heavy. And he said, we should be separate. Mining should have a separate definition in your definition table.
Yes.
And then he also wanted that to be an allowed use in the use table.
Right.
And the concern I brought up is that if we simply did that since the gravel pit is in the ag rural district, that would mean mining would be allowed anywhere in the ag rural district, which is a possible choice the zoning commission could make, but to me felt not consistent with the other choices we've been making. And we did consider an industrial zone in one of the very first maps. That was like option 4, and we rejected at the time, but I think it's worth revisiting that idea now that we're all a bit more well-versed in this. But the main question I had for Dan was, so what does it mean if it had to grandfather a mine? I understand if you have a building, you can say no more than 25% bigger, but with a mine, they're going down, they're not necessarily going bigger in area, so I wasn't really, still not fully included in what the if we did not add it as an allowed use in general, but allowed it to be a grandfathered use in that location, what the implications really were on their operation. And that's what I was wanting to explore at some point. I don't think this instant is necessarily time, but that's what I was wondering is, of these options now laid out, grandfathered use, allowed throughout the ag rural, or something else, and something else, I did probably throw as well, if we have a zone that allowed housing and mining, and I think that I understand the spot zoning issue, and I'm sympathetic to that, so come back off of that. But I don't know how to handle this. They recently are putting a lot of money in, they're, going to be operating for a while. I'm fine with them operating there, but I also think it would be consistent with our overall vision of the town to say, okay, we're going to have gravel pits or other kinds of mines, many places in the ag rural district.
So let me just, the grandfathering, that 25%